How's it going, everyone? My name is Coxie and you are watching Coxie Tutorials and Gameplay, and this is going to be part 14 of our first person shooter tutorial series in Unity 5. Where we left off in part 13, we started using Mecanim and we were scripting in our enemy AI script, and we were making this enemy play a few animations as he got certain distances away from us. So I've been mucking around with these a little bit, so you can change your distance settings to whatever you want basically, but I've got mine as look at distance to be 80 Unity units now, which I kept saying Blender units in the last tutorial, sorry, but it's actually Unity units. I've been using Blender a lot as well, so I just got a bit mixed up. And in Unity, one Unity unit by default is equal to 1 meter. So every Unity unit in my scene is equal to 1 meter. So this will be 80 meters, 30 meters, 70 meters. Okay, with that said, I've also made the gravity quite high, and I've moved my zombie down a little bit and move the colliders and things up a little bit to try to keep his feet looking like they are more on the ground. So we'll just check out what we did last time and play the animations. So when we get 80 meters away, he starts walking towards us, and as he gets closer he should get to 30 meters away, and then he will start to chase. And he also stops 3 meters away from us. Okay, so what we're going to do now is I'm going to make it so when he gets to this distance away from us, the 3 meters or 3 Unity units, he will play the attack animation. So stop that, double click back on here if you haven't got the animator up here anymore, and back into Mecanim. One quick thing I didn't talk about last time was in the animations where we have the transitions here. See how you has exit time? What exit time is the time between switching from this animation to this animation. So that was maybe why some of our animations were a bit delayed between the walk and the run and the idle and walk and things like that. So what I'm going to do is just untick exit time for all of these transitions. So okay, that is now done, and what I'm going to do is just open up the Torrent Zombie, and he has 2 attack animations, this one. So he's got this one arm swing, and he's also got both arm swing. So I'm just going to use the one arm swing because I like that a little bit better. So I'm going to put that, drag that into Mecanim, and it's set itself back to layers again, so make sure you click on parameters. I actually made 2 parameters when I was testing this out myself, so I'll just get rid of them and start again so you guys can see. So we only had our walk and run in our last tutorial, so if you click the plus button and again a boolean, true or false statement, and just call this one attack, and then just make a transition from run, and also right click on attack, make transition back to run. The transition going from run to attack, click off exit time, and then click on this plus button and find attack and leave that as true. And then coming back from attack to run, click off exit time, and then make attack equal to false. Okay, so what we're also going to do while we're here is we're going to bring in the death animation. Now I'm not going to use the any state or exit of, I had a few issues just because of how the scripts have been written, and yeah, I found it worked a lot better if I just had the death animation and then just had a transition coming from all of these to death, and then up here in parameters make another boolean and just call it death, and then set all these to death equals true. I know this is a bit of a stuff around and there's probably a lot easier and better ways to do it, but I'm just going to do it like this because I know that this will work how I want it to. So all these are death set to true, and now what we're going to do is go back to your scene view and click on your Tyrant Zombie, and what I'm going to do is I'm not going to use this enemy health script anymore. I'm actually going to incorporate everything for the enemy, his health and his AI and his animations all into this enemy AI script. So just click that off there, or you can just completely remove the component like that. So open up the enemy AI, and we do need to make a few changes to this script now, so we'll get started. So we've opened up in Mono Develop, do your line endings, and now we're just going to add a few more variables. So the first one we're going to add is the health for the enemy, because we're not using the enemy health script anymore. And I want this set to 150, and then we're going to do var max distance, because if you remember in the last tutorial I made it so that we set these to 0 when he was within attack range, and now I actually want to change this a little bit. So this is going to be the distance where the enemy stops away from us. So that is going to be equal to 3, and we're also going to do another variable just called death. Okay, so now under function update, you can just do it under the distance, do one that says death equals health less than or equal to 0. So this new variable we've got here for health, we're just saying that this variable here is equal to this when it's less than or equal to 0. So now what we are going to do is we're going to do some functions. So just do them underneath follow player, should be fine down here, and we basically need to do the same function that we had in the health script. So we're going to do the apply damage in this script. So function apply damage, and that was the damage, and I did spell it with 2 M's in the other script, so I know that's not how you spell damage, but I'm just going to keep it consistent, otherwise it's not going to work. So underneath this, open and close curly brackets, and then in this we want to say health minus equals actually this, the damage was an actual function, so this wasn't the lowercase damage that we did. I don't think this should be the damage like that, the damage. I could be wrong, but I think that's right off the top of my head. So yeah, make sure it's the capital T, not the lowercase, the damage. Okay, so underneath this we're going to do a function for the max distance. So function, I'm going to call it max distance to player, so I know exactly what it is. And then in our curly brackets we're going to say if distance, which we have a variable for distance up here, and then we have also said that under function update, which updates every single frame in Unity, we've said that distance equals vector3, so it knows actually what distance is. So if distance is less than or equal to max distance, which is a new variable that we created, then we want these two, the move speed run and the move speed walk, to be equal to 0, which we had under our attack range. So paste that, just line these up because I'm a bit anal like that. So now we have that. We also want to do the else statement. Else and then we want to set these to the speed that we actually want them, just like we did before. So copy, paste that, and then we are going to change 0. I'm going to change the run speed to 8 and the walk speed to 3. Okay, so now I think that should be all the functions that we need, and we're just going to go back up and start changing a few things in our if statements. So I'll start from the top. First of all, we need to do a new if statement. That's right, because we've got the new, that's why I made the variable for death. So in function update, underneath where we said what death was equal to, which was less than or equal to 0, we're going to do another if statement, which is if, I know this code has a lot of if statements and things in it, and it's probably not very very economical for the game and things like that, but yeah, this is just how I'm going to do it, and I find this is probably an easy way for me to explain everything as well, but there are far more efficient ways to write code than this, that is for sure, but this will work, so that's all that matters for now. Make sure I do curly brackets and not parentheses. So if death, we're going to say grab this and just copy this, paste that. We want to say if it's death, then we want to set the bool for death to be true, which is the animation that we just made in Mecanim. And we also want to, once it's played the death animation, the enemy will be laying on the ground, so we want to destroy the game object after a certain amount of time. You can have it for however long you want. Destroy, I'll just do it a shorter amount of time so that we can actually test it out and make sure it works. So destroy game object, and I'll just say, I might say 10 seconds for now, but I'll probably make that higher eventually because I don't want the body to just disappear too fast. And then underneath that, do an else statement, and just do the opposite of this one, just to cover ourselves and make sure that if these conditions aren't met, then we want this to be false. Okay, I'll just save that. And now we want to start messing around with our if statements and changing them a little bit. So first of all, for the first one, which is look at distance, after look at distance here, we want if distance is less than or equal to look at distance, and is not death, so we're not dead, so it's less than or equal to look at distance and we are not dead, then we want to look at player, and we also want to call the new function we made, which is max distance to player. Yes, so copy that, or just write it out, whatever you want to do. Just going to put it under this one, paste, and make sure you put a parenthesis on the end. So look at distance is now done, and then if distance is less than or equal to follow range, we also want to add this. I'm going to add this to every single one just to make sure. So paste that, and then we also want to add this. And that's fine. So then move on to the next one and just do the same thing. So distance is less than or equal to attack range and is not death. We can take these out now, so we can take these two out now because we don't need them, because we've already got that as our max distance to player. So all we need to do is just put this in now. So put that in, and then we need these taken out as well, because we've already got all this in our max distance function, which we have called their max distance to player function. And then with our chase range, attack range and chase range, we'll do the same thing. Paste that there. I'll just neaten them up. I have to have them looking better than that. So if distance is less than chase range, we need to add in the same one again. I know this is a bit of a pain, guys, but this is just how I'm going to do it. And I think that's all we need in that. So we've got the animation playing, it's going to chase the player, and it's not going to go any further than 3 meters, which is the max distance to player function. And I think that should be okay now. So I'll just save this and make sure I haven't put any errors in it. And I'm pretty sure we are okay. So let's test it out now and see what happens. Okay, so he's walking towards us now, and he's gonna stop at 3 and start attacking. I'll try to run away from him. He's very fast though, because I've made his speed faster, so I might actually change the speed of him. But as you can see, he attacks us now and he kills us. So go back. One thing I noticed is his attack is quite slow, and I don't know if you guys changed yours, but I have, where is it? Sorry, in here. The damage I've changed, I don't know if I told you already, but I changed the damage he applies to us to 20. So I made it so he actually has to hit us 5 times now. So I just want to see actually how our health goes down compared to when he hits us, because I want it to kind of match up, and if you don't know what I'm talking about, which you probably don't because I don't make any sense, you'll see. So he's hit us once, twice. So he's only hit us 3 times and he's killed us. So actually wanting him to hit us 5 times within the time it takes to kill us to make it more realistic. Alright, so to change that, just go back into the animator, and for function attack, click on here, and up here you'll see that the speed of this actual animation is set to 1. So if we set that to 2, it will actually go faster. So I'll go back in there now. I'll click on the first person controller so I can see the health again. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Beautiful. Okay, so I like that way better. And now we'll test out and see if our death animation actually works. Don't worry about this error we're getting down here. This is to do with not having certain objects labeled with environment or enemy. That's why that comes up when I actually shoot something that's not labeled with environment or enemy. So don't worry about that at all. It's not a problem. Oh, I should just restart the game. He's miles away. That's a long walk. Alright, or a long run. So let's test out the death animation and see if this works. He's walking, he's running, and he stops, and he falls over. Beautiful. Well, it's not perfect, as I said. I'm not an animator, so that's about as good as it's going to get, and that's not too bad at all. It's a bit more realistic, and our enemy actually can run, and he has an idle animation, and he walks, and he attacks us, and he also has a die animation. Okay guys, well, I hope you enjoyed this tutorial, and I hope you learned something. So if it helped you in any way, or you did like this tutorial, I'd really appreciate it if you just hit the like button for me and maybe leave a comment or two. At least definitely please, if it helps you, like the video, because that actually helps me out. So yeah, cheers guys, and thanks for watching.